think is such an important story for sort of any creative person that's out there, because I feel like a lot of these sort of like new students that I get sometimes in this sort of interior design world, they come in and they have this vision and they're like, we need to execute it exactly to how I had envisioned it. But sometimes those sort of like changes that happen due to mistakes or whatever it is, it's the universe telling you that this is the way you need to go.
Exactly.
And the changes that happen, sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, thank God that happened, because it looks so much better.
Yes. It's the happy accidents, right? Let me be. Trust the process.
Yeah. So that's why when you walk into my studio, it literally in these giant letters, it says, "In designer we trust." And I have that on there is because it's like, we got your back.
You got this.
This is where creativity gets lit. I'm talking bold pivots, design funks, and those tiny rituals that keep us grounded. I'm interior designer and creative director Ali Velji, and on AVD Inspire, I sit down with artists, makers, and icons for the real conversations behind the work. Simone Elizabeth Saunders left a decade-long theater career to hand-tufted portraits that celebrate Black womanhood on a global stage. She's changing the art world as we know it with her soulful and powerful pieces that are not only stunningly beautiful, but tell a story that goes beyond beauty. She recently curated an incredible event called Look 25 at Contemporary Calgary, themed Noir Nouveau, that took people's breath away. And I know that because I was there and experienced it in full glory. It was amazing. We bonded over the best summer afternoon conversation at our friend Jeff and John's place. Yes, we were those people that were sitting in a corner and giggling away and laughing the whole afternoon, and it was so delightful. And I couldn't be more honored and pleased that she decided to say yes and join me on AVD Inspire. So welcome, Simone.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Oh my God. I am so thrilled that you could be here. And honestly, let's just talk quickly about that event that you curated, because it was spectacular.
I'm still riding that high. Like the whole experience from being able to pick the tablecloth, the napkin, to design my own chargers, all the way up until the performers, and ensuring that it was all Black performers. And so the whole night was just incredible. For me, it was such an easy transfer when I got the call from the CEO of Contemporary Calgary, David Leinster, and he was like, "What do you think?" And me being the first curator for the Look Gala, because historically it's just been a team effort from the Contemporary Calgary team and the board chairs. So to have an artist that really funnels their vision and taking my artistry, because not only does my work uplift Black womanhood, but it's also, I dig a lot into history, into art history. So to be able to tag team that with inspiration from Art Nouveau or the Renaissance, and then contemporize that with Black culture, it's just, you know, for me to be able to relay that to the teams that were on board, the event team, the Concord group who did the culinary, it was quite an approachable thing for them to manifest and to bring to fruition. So it was just this magical transfer from like my mind and coming up with all these ideas, and then them coming back with, "Hey, we came up with this. What do you think?" It was synchronized. It was perfect. It was beautiful.
Team effort.
That's right. Yes.
I love that. When I was at the event and I was looking around, and it just felt, especially I feel like in Calgary, it just was such a beautiful moment to celebrate Black culture, and I just loved it, honestly. Like, I was so happy for you, and sitting at that dinner table with you and Devakaran and Jason and just looking around, it was really a magical moment. And I just want to let you know how proud I was that day of you. So
I'm
just wanted to
so
get that
glad
out
you
there.
were there and that you were able to experience, because that's exactly what it was about, to have friends there to really take in the fruits of my
Mm-hmm.
labor. I think it was so supported by contemporary Calgary to uplift Black
Mm-hmm.
performers, Black artists. And so when I did come forth with an idea, I just felt so supported in that. And I think that that is just
Mm-hmm.
imperative and just so important to feel seen and to be uplifted in that way.
I feel like when you are supported as an artist, as a creative person, that is when you maybe do your best work because you know that you have people behind you that are going to sort of raise up the bar of exactly what you're all about. But what happens when you don't necessarily have that? How do you become your own champion? Because I'm sure you've had to do that.
All of the above. I mean, first and foremost, having the
Mm-hmm.
support of my loved ones, Devakrin, who's my partner, my friends. I know you know that. For those of you who don't know, Devakrin is my partner. My ride
Yeah,
or
totally.
die.
Good
Yeah.
call.
It's a vulnerable thing to really portray your
Mm-hmm.
voice and to fulfill your artistry. I think that it does. It requires a lot of emotion and attention and just vulnerability. And so to feel supported is imperative. But like you said, you don't always have the support. I mean, at the end of the day, you are your own biggest champion. And when I started creating my artwork, making portraits of Black women with a tufting tool, I had no idea how that was going to be received. I had no clue, but I just really needed to trust in myself. And then there's also that connection that I have with my ancestry. And there's a huge
Mm.
spiritual component in that as well, where it's like this release in not just trusting myself, but in trusting spirit.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
beautiful thing to say. My goodness, absolutely. Bow Valley College has been changing lives for 60 years, and honestly, they made me who I am today. Graduating in 2003, they got me career ready from day one. Fun fact, my mom is also an alumni from Bow Valley College, and now their City Makers campaign is about to change everything. To raise $1 million and unleash 200 creative powerhouses with $5,000 each. I'm investing in Calgary's creative revolution, and I'd love for you to join me. Head over to inspire.bowvalleycollege.ca/city-maker for more information. So, this journey that you've sort of had with art and theater, like when you did make that transition, what was it in your head at that moment where you're just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna sort of take that leap and I'm gonna do it.
Theater was such a transformative era for me. And it was also very difficult because it was over a decade ago. You know, visually, I identify as a mixed race Black woman, but I do realize the tone of my skin. I'm quite light skinned. And so it was very difficult for me to be cast in roles. I wasn't always white enough, wasn't always Black enough. And so there's like this gray area, and that notion of colorblind casting, which is so prevalent right now, was not, even a decade ago, or more than a decade ago now.
For
And
sure.
so myself and four other women, we started a Black theater company here, and that was very uplifting. I went to Toronto and worked with Obsidian Theater there, the Black theater company, but still being at the whim of other people. Like if I auditioned for roles and you're at the whim of producers and casting
Mm-hmm.
directors, I wanted stories of Blackness to be told. When I rediscovered my love for visual arts, that's really when I was like, I felt home, because I'm very creative. I am a daydreamer. And to be able to, you know, put my voice into this kind of context and narrative of literally
Mm-hmm.
weaving a portrait is endless inspiration, and no one can mess with that, right? No one can can say
Yeah.
I'm not this for the role or I'm not that for the role. It's between me and my loom, and that's it.
Mm. Oh my God. Yes.
You
Yes.
know?
If only everybody sort of could feel those feelings. Okay, I'm just going to take that leap and do that. Because, I mean, obviously, being a person of color myself, ups and downs, things that I've sort of had to face, even within my own sort of design industry, it's always a thing. So for the listeners out there that are, maybe people of color that are going through a little bit of ups and downs in whatever field they're in, whether it's creative or not, what is that sort of like lesson that you want them to get out of this conversation about how do you mitigate that? How do you manage those sort of feelings that maybe sometimes, get into your head where you're almost like your worst enemy?
Because those still come up. It's like that inner
Mm-hmm.
child within
Mm-hmm.
you, those insecurities as well, they can stay with you. And I
Totally.
think that that's it, is just to
Mm-hmm.
remember that we belong, you belong, I belong, and to really trust in that and to have faith in that and
Mm-hmm.
to know that you're enough and to really just ride that wave, and believe in
I
your
love that.
voice. Yeah.
And we bring so much of a different sort of perspective into the lens of how we see design, how we see art, how we see all these different things. We need to sort of celebrate that moment of everything that we are all about.
That's right. Look at what you're wearing. Look at the background behind you. Like, look at what I'm
Yeah.
wearing. It's just like infused with color and like just these
Hmm.
patterns and positive vibrations. And I feel like that is
Absolutely.
because we bring culture into what we do. Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Now let's talk about this like tufting discovery. Like this is such an incredible medium that you're using. How did that come about? Like, because I feel like it's sort of so foreign, And when I first saw your pieces, I was just so gobsmacked at how bright and beautiful it was. But then I didn't even know it was textiles until I did a deep dive and I was like, oh my God, this is like wool and yarn and you're using, yeah, like it's crazy. I love it.
I love it too. I call it my healthy obsession. But you know what? When I went back to school, I was really enamored. I went to AU Arts and they have a huge room filled with looms. And
Mm,
I found like that was my calling. But then at the same time, when
mm,
I was doing weaving and all the different fiber processes, I was also doing printmaking. And I have a love for drawing and really having that connection of like pencil to paper. So when I saw
mm-hmm.
the tufting machine, which looks like a handheld gun almost, for lack of a better description. You feed the yarn through the tip and you hold press it against the canvas and pull the trigger, and it has quite a power to it. And I was really taken with that because the way that the machine was putting the yarn in and out of the canvas, it was like drawing almost. And so that summer asked my brother to build a loom for me. Since then, like the machine has really taken a toll on my body, like being, 5 years in.
Okay.
And so now the analog
Mm,
version of the tufting machine is called the punch needle, which is the handheld tool. And that's what I learned on was the punch needle. And that's what I have reverted
okay.
back to. My pieces were a labor of love before, and now they're even more so.
Mm-hmm.
Like what used to take me two
Oh,
months to create a piece, now it takes me 3 or 4 months.
wow. Oh my God, what an incredible process. And then do you know, like when you sort of start a piece, for example, does it almost take a mind of its own as you're working on it, or do you sometimes veer off your path?
I think it's like it's a middle ground to that because I really do a lot of research beforehand, and I just mean contextually for if I'm bringing in iconography from art history. But then I also research my history, Black history. So there's also a lot of symbolism that goes within as well. And so I always start with the the gesture, the gaze, because who I'm portraying is connecting to the viewer is really important. And so I start with that. And then from there, I go into play. Like I let myself play. So I try not to do too much of the background because these pieces take me so long. I mean, I'm sure you can relate in a way. I want to leave room to be able to play and to go into the day and feel the energy.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's, I think, is such an important story for sort of any creative person that's out there, because I feel like a lot of these sort of like new students that I get sometimes in this sort of interior design world, they come in and they have this vision and they're like, we need to execute it exactly to how I had envisioned it or what I drew up. But sometimes those sort of like changes that happen due to mistakes or whatever it is, it's the universe telling you that this is the way you need to go. And
Exactly.
sometimes mistakes that happen, and the changes that happen, sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, thank God that happened, because it looks so much better. Like the space looks
Yes.
better.
It's the happy accidents,
So I
right?
love that. You have to be sort of a little bit more malleable. For me, it's like it was a bit of a learning curve to sort of like let go and be a little loosey goosey about the design, because yeah, like sometimes it's not exactly how you envision it, but sometimes the end result is it's always better for me anyway when those mistakes happen.
Yes. I mean, especially for you when you're considering leadership as well, right? Because you're dealing with different ideas and different minds. For me, it's one mind, and I don't generally do commissions.
It's
So I've been approached by that for people
right.
who have very specific ideas. And because like I'm still 5 years
Mm-hmm.
into what I'm doing. And so it's really
Mm-hmm.
important for me as the artist to really nurture my voice and my ideas and not
Mm-hmm.
to be mitigated by outside forces.
I feel like that sort of really helps you then, like if there is somebody that maybe comes and says, okay, I would love a piece for here, but then it's just like you have to have a bit of creative freedom. And I think being a creative person, once that's sort of like it's stifled, the work just isn't as good.
Exactly. Let me
Yeah.
be. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's why when you walk into my studio, it literally in these giant letters, it says in designer we trust. And I have that on there is because it's like we got your back. Like we're your design firm. You've hired us for a reason. We're good at what we do. We are not going to let you down. Simone just said something about creating artistic language, and I literally got the chills thinking about Bow Valley College's City Makers campaign. These students are going to be designing Calgary's future, creating art that moves us, and your donation isn't just going towards education, it's going towards creating Calgary's next creative dynasty. So head over to inspire.bowvalleycollege.ca/city-maker for more information and see how you can help. And thanks again, Bow Valley College, for making this episode happen. When you are coming up with a theme, where does your research come from? Because I know that there was something that I read that you're reading Angela Davis, Roxane Gay before sort of creating. So like, do you read something different? Where do you get your sort of inspiration from?
That's a great question. It really ebbs and flows. But right now I'm reading Octavia Butler. She was the first Black female science fiction author, and her work is just incredibly inspiring. But for me, so I take a lot of nuance from who I'm reading. So I'm very intentional to really take in a lot of female Black authors, like you had just mentioned. And also my personal landscape and what's going on in the times, right? Like really being inspired by what kind of world we're in right now. And I think as an artist, that is partially my responsibility if I want to have a really solid legacy is to reflect the times and what we're going through right now, but in a way to also have a sense of timelessness within that as well. And so
Yeah.
that's also why I
Mm-hmm.
like to get inspiration from things like the Renaissance and Art Nouveau. And within Art
Mm-hmm.
Nouveau, in particular, an artist called Alphonse Mucha. And Alphonse Mucha's work, he did a lot of renderings of women, very sensual, very alluring, very soft and mysterious. And they oftentimes would portray the seasons, or they would portray, it was a mode of advertising. So they'd have fine chocolates or liqueurs or cigarettes. But the way he fashioned them, they always had these beautiful flowing dresses, bold outlines, and it was a very particular style that I'm very taken with. And so I've now brought that into my own style called Black Nouveau. And so that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. Yes. And then again, just drawing from my history and Jamaican history, and then Black history, and bringing nuance within that. So I feel like my inspiration is endless.
I love that. I love that, as it should be, because there is so much to take in this world for inspiration, whether it's your culture, your background, travel, nature, whatever it is. I feel like it should be endless. I love that you said that. And so what's new and what's exciting and coming up for you that you want the world to know?
Well, my book launch. My book is arriving this week, Encompass the Galaxy. And so I'm really excited about that. It encompasses my work from 2020 to 2023. It's about 40 works. There's some essays within it, an interview with me. Contemporary Calgary supported the book. And so I'm really excited for that. My book can be sourced through my website, SimoneElizabethSaunders.com, but it'll connect you to Contemporary Calgary. So they are the mothership where to get the book. So contemporarycalgary.com, or my social media, Simone Elizabeth Saunders on Instagram and TikTok. And more so because of the busyness of the book release and Noir Nouveau, the look gala that we talked about in the beginning, I'm excited to get back to my studio. I just moved studios, and so I want to get back to work. I miss my babies. I miss my yarns. That's it.
I love it. Yes. I love it so much. You're an absolute inspiration. And one more question before we go. What is that one thing that you do to sort of get in the mode of, working? Like, I know that anytime I'm anywhere, I light a candle. That's something that's very important when I'm at work. Even when I get home, I always light a candle because scent also does something to me. What is that one thing that you do?
Oh my goodness. We might be a little bit aligned because we didn't really go into spirituality too much, but I have an altar space beside my loom. And so it's really important for me to engage with my ancestors. And so I will light incense and a candle. And that is my connection right there to evoke the spirit. We're aligned.
I love it. From that one day a few summers ago, we've totally been aligned. And oh my God. Well, Simone, you are literally an inspiration. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Simone, thank you so much for being here today. I love
you. And I think the same of you. I think the world of you. So thank you so much.
Yay. That was perfect. What an inspiring conversation that was with Simone. My God, I am blown away by her artistic talent. It's absolutely incredible. Simone, you are a joy to talk to. Thank you for being an awesome friend and doing this podcast with me. That was so fabulous. You are literally a true inspiration that when you follow your heart, that creativity just absolutely shines. We talked about theater, we talked about textiles, we talked about Black joy and creating a brand new sort of artistic moment, and you did all of that. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing some candid information with us. That was so fabulous. You can follow Simone at Simone Elizabeth Saunders on Instagram. You have to follow her and see all of her amazing artwork and how she does things. It's absolutely inspiring. Thank you again for being here, and thank you, Bow Valley College, for making this episode happen. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you in investing in me and investing in the future of Calgary's young creative talents. Make sure you're checking them out at Bow Valley College, and then of course donating to make sure that these students have an incredible education. You can head over to inspire.bowvalleycollege.ca/city-maker for more information. And then of course, thank you to you for listening, for watching, for sharing, and for just basically getting inspired. I really appreciate it. Make sure you're liking and subscribing and sharing this podcast with anybody that you think that needs a little inspiration. And until next time, I'll see ya.